Good evening, everyone. I'm Sterling Hedgepeth, the programming manager for MVFF, and welcome to Lagoon Park and our drive-in here tonight. We have one weekend coming up where there's a lot of tickets left for a lot of really great films streaming, but tonight we have a very special treat. We have the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. It was released in 1980, and we're revisiting it now, and it's so great to have you here. And joining us now is Dennis Muren, the legendary visual effects coordinator and someone who worked on the original Empire Strikes Back. Thanks for joining us, Dennis.
Sure, yeah, nice to be here.
Now, Star Wars was obviously an enormous phenomenon in 1977, and the understanding was that that everything got even more elaborate and more ambitious for the next film. When did you first hear about all the different things that you were that was going to be part of the project? You know, you had new environments, new creatures, you had opticals, miniatures, stop motion. When did you first learn about everything that was going to be part of The Empire Strikes Back?
Oh man, it must have been about a year or so after the first show, after Star Wars finished. I'd gone to work on Close Encounters on the final 4 or 5 months of that show, which came out at Christmas time. Those are the two big effects films of 1977. And then around the middle of 78, hey, George wants to do another one, which I'd heard rumors of and all. And then actually, I was always saying, yeah, I'm ready to go, move up to the Bay Area from LA. And so he flew us up here, me and my pals, John Berg and Phil Tippett and Tom Sanamon, and a few other of the folks from the first show came up. And George showed us some artwork that Ralph McCurry had done and Joe Johnson had been doing. And it was just like a knockout. I mean, it was so beyond Star Wars because we had, these giant walking machines, whatever those are, and little speeders that were flying, in snow over, these big snow areas that were completely different. And there was a city in the clouds, floating in the clouds, and all these asteroids or meteors that the Falcon had to fly through, and giant star destroyers, stuff that just was not even at all, in the first film even thought of, that he obviously had been thinking about. And they were just wonderful. Every one of them was just like wonderful. And it's like, oh my God, this, Star Wars looked like, a whole movie practically compared to what we had to pull off in the show. Wow. And we had about, almost 2 years, not quite 2 years to do it. And it was a really tough show. And he's, moving up here, those of us who moved up, and tried to find as many local people as we could also to hire from the various, some film people who were in the movie business. A lot of stage guys came and worked in our stage department for like 20 and 30 years. So it was great bringing the community into it. And then we learned a lot from them and vice versa. We're all mixed in now. Most of us are all like locals, have been here for a long time.
Well, like you said, Industrial Light and Magic was in its infancy, and that was the year, the pre-production time was also when it settled here in Marin County. What were some of the challenges, once you started learning more specifics about the shoot, what did you see were some of the most challenging set pieces or challenging technical aspects that you knew you would have to overcome?
Well, a lot of the first show was done with shooting the spaceships separate from the star fields, and they were shot against blue screens. And then we could, with the optical printers and the matting process, we could extract the blue screen, get rid of that, and replace it with whatever background we wanted. In that case, it was stars. And you do it all the time now. You can do it in your phone, you can do it in your Skype, you can do it anything, replace the background. In the photochemical days, it was like incredibly hard. And but it worked, and we were so precise in it. But it works best against dark backgrounds because sometimes you would get these edges around, little lines around your outline that might be black. But you wouldn't see them against Starfield. But all the sequences that took place against the snow, the ice planet, and in the clouds, Cloud City with all the white clouds, that would show the matte lines. And that was just suddenly like this huge problem that was, we solved it as good as we could, and it's the best that's ever been done. And it was a miracle and a lot of hard work. for people to get in there and be able to do it. Bruce Nicholson ran the department, and his crack team pulled it off, but it was a real struggle. So that was one of the technical things. We also had to make other models. The original Falcon was about 4 feet across and weighed 150 pounds and was so hard to move. The Falcon in this show, the model, we made one that was 2 feet, much, much, much smaller, more maneuverable, and we could use them both, whether the ship is small in the distance or flipping around through the asteroids. It was just too cumbersome to move the other thing, the big one. Now that sounds like, well, they could have done it, but it was far faster to build a smaller model. And then we made a bigger model of the Star Destroyer that's at the beginning of Star Wars, so we could get a lot closer to it. And just a lot of stuff. The walkers, of course, coming up with the walkers and looking at the footage that had been shot in Norway, trying to make it look like, you're on this barren snowscape and you're actually, on Kerner Boulevard in San Rafael, was pretty neat, pretty fun to do it. That's one of the funnest things about filmmaking is, what you're looking at, when you step back and look at it, you could be anywhere. And there's this whole little like miniature in front of you, or it's a set with actors or whatever that's supposed to be somewhere else. And you get the camera all set up, and as soon as you look through the camera, you're there. You're in this other world. And you step back again. No, I'm in this world here. And you can maneuver and look back again. And that going back and forth is one of the funnest parts of filmmaking. Being able to, make the world what you want or what you need at that time through that little lens.
Now, do you remember, what kind of memories do you have about seeing the film for the first time? I'm assuming a cast and crew screening, but you had the sound effects, you had the score, you had everything edited together. What was your impression of seeing it for the first time in its completed version?
Yeah, I think we did it at the North Point, and it was a screening with an audience, and they filled out cards and everything on it. It was great. And it was like, to see the whole thing, even though it wasn't quite finished, it was almost finished. But to see it with sound and music and the whole thing, I don't even remember if I knew about the big twist at the end with Luke's father. I may have, and I just can't remember it at the moment, but it could be I was so busy trying to get those final shots done. It just went in one ear and out the other. I don't know. But it was great. It was, to be able to have it on, and the theater had a giant screen in it. So it was a great place to see it. And the sound and the effects and everything, and the acting, and all the time we're looking at these little movie versions of their faces, running through a little moviola, you can't see them very well, and then comparing them to our shots. Here are the actors giant on the screen, and our shots are also giant on the screen. So, looking back, it's 40 years now. It still holds up so phenomenally well. What do you think the legacy is of? I mean, Star Wars obviously has its own footprint in world history, cinema history, as far as the franchise goes. But as far as Empire and its specific influence and the specific legacy, where do you think that falls? And what things do you most fondly remember about it now? It's always been my favorite of the Star Wars movies, and possibly because it was the hardest for me by far of any of the other ones. And I think the fact that it became very personal made a big difference to the audience, and certainly did to me, as far as, but the actors are going through what happens with the personal and family dynamics that are not really as much in the first one. That's got a camaraderie dynamic, good and bad, but this opened it up into things very small. And, that's the whole sense of, with everything that Yoda brought to it about within yourself, what you can do, and bringing out the things that were hinted at in the first Star Wars show, just added such texture to the storytelling. You see the first show, you got an idea of what it's like, right? Then you see this and you say, my God, I just knew a fraction of what that universe was, which we now call the Star Wars universe. Any universe is like that. You look at a small part and you see it one way, and then you get back and you see there's so much you don't know about. I think that really opened up the idea of doing that in storytelling, not just to have more of this and more of that, and tell the same story over and over. Let's go deeper into the personalities and the dynamics and the history of it and possible future of it.
Right. Empire was your first Oscar. You've won more
Yeah.
since then, but what was it like winning for the very first time?
Terrifying. You know, it was one where the Academy did not even put it up against any other films.
Right. It was a special achievement.
A special achievement, which they've done before if it's something is outstanding, which means we knew in advance we were going to get it, which means we had no excuse for messing up. You know, and it was terrifying. It was. I think it'd be much more fun to not know if you're going to get it, which happened to me, you know, almost every other time.
Right.
And then you can, you know, oh my God, and there's the excitement and you're up or down, you're down. This was, I mean, it was great seeing behind the scenes though, being able to fly down, do the bit. We rehearsed it the day before with all the celebrities who were there that were around the time we were going to be then. And then, you know, we do the thing that night and it's fabulous and the next day we get to go on the plane and come back.
Nice.
And work on Jedi, I assume. So.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing. Dragon Slayer, and I was back to England.
Oh, gotcha. Wow. Well, thank you so much to Dennis. Thank you so much to Lucasfilm for sharing the film with us. When I say the magic words, everyone in the audience, please honk your horns as a sign of gratitude because there are a lot of Star Wars family in the audience right now. Everyone enjoy the show and may the Force be with you.